اي كي ام سي امين جاهزين عارفين مين بالراب الشعبي جايين. اي كي ام سي امين جاهزين عارفين مين بالراب الشعبي جايين. معانا الفاشني جميل نفار
Karim from Arabian Knightz.
راس مرفوعة كتف مفرودة عاملة في طفلتي على المزيكا اصل البيت وانا نكسس فيا كلمة روخي على النغمة بوخي فقفاري خرزي
The introduction to hip hop was basically through friends of mine, Run DMC. They were bumping some Run DMC, and you know, a lot of them used to travel a lot in the summertime to the US and to Europe, and so they got accustomed to hip hop way before MTV was available on TV here in Arabia. This kind of music was really big in America when they went there in the summer, so it was kind of hard not to notice when you're visiting that, you know, a song called like F the Police by NWA was all over the streets, so it was hard to be in America and not to notice that song. I listened to everything: Fairuz, Michael Jackson, Abdul Halim, Metallica, some rock, you know, Bon Jovi, but hip hop was Run DMC and NWA. Way later on, it was Snoop Dogg when he first came out, and Dr. Dre, The Chronic, and then Pac, and amongst the rappers that really influenced me was Tupac, as he influenced a lot of other rappers all over the world, because nobody really expressed himself as much as Tupac did. Nobody can really transfer his pain to you more than Tupac did. Amongst the influences are also Wu-Tang, who I'm personal friends with some of the members of the original and the Killer Bee families. Wu-Tang influenced me a lot because they proved to me that, you know, groups are very important and they can be very successful to a level that not a lot of individual single artists or solo artists can actually reach, and in a very short time. And they always had the whole deal where they actually went and did their singles and their solos, and then they came back together as a group again, which is something everybody respects a lot. We're trying to apply that on Arab League records right now in the Middle East. We have rappers from Egypt, from America, from Lebanon, from Palestine, from Morocco, from Jordan, from Saudi Arabia, from all over the Middle East, and we're trying to form the whole Arab League thing the same way, you know, taking by example from Wu-Tang, basically, you know. Wu-Tang Click also was an influence. Buckshot, Black Moon, Smith & Wesson, Helter Skelter. 90s hip-hop, man. 90s hip-hop, there's nothing like 90s hip-hop. Even right now, the rappers that we still check out and still buy records from are the 90s rappers who are still existing in the market right now. It made me feel like there's a form of music that I can actually do without having a singing voice. Hip-hop made us, the people who don't have that singing voice, be able to do music that not only expresses what we feel, but expresses everything we feel. You know, you can't really express yourself 100% with singing only. Hip-hop introduced a form of music that you can actually express yourself in any shape or form in poetry, in spoken word, which is something that Arabs can really relate to. Before the Quran, before Muhammad, before Islam, the region of the Middle Eastern region was known for poets who used to debate and do poetry battles in Souk Okaz, which is the Souk of Okaz in current day Saudi, and it was just the trend of that area, of that region. Important thing, and the trend back in the day when Muhammad came out was language and poetry. That's why the whole Quran was written in perfect language that nobody can even fathom till now, and not even the best literature writers, and it was all written in rhyme form, perfect structured rhyme form, poetry. So the poets back then and people who were into poetry were marveling on not only the concept of the miracles that the Quran itself included, but also how it was written. A lot of things in the Quran that need to be looked upon. That's why the Quran is a very important book to read. Even if you're not Muslim, you're going to learn a lot if you read that. And for any rapper, I advise you read it, especially if you can speak Arabic, because the flow is impossible. You know, that's why I sometimes write in Fusha as well as just normal Egyptian Arabic. And yeah, hip-hop is basically our expression, especially for Arabs. We have a lot of things to express other than love songs and, you know, all that commercial stuff. We have a lot of other problems that we want to express, and hip-hop, it enables us to do that. We formed Arabian Knightz when I just bumped into Sphinx in a club in 2005 actually, the very end of 2005. And somebody was like, you know, I was kind of rapping in the underground scene here, you know, doing some mixtapes and selling them in private schools and stuff like that to street teens that I had. He was just freshly in Egypt, out of New York, out of LA. He basically started a cipher, and it was crazy. It was really crazy. I don't think we ever walked back into that club once we walked out and formed that little cipher outside the club. We never walked back in that night. And more people kept on leaving the club and coming to watch us go back and forth at it. It was a legendary night. I wish we had that on camera. After that, he introduced me to Ehab, E-Money, who was back in the day in a group called Asphalt, as well as I was in a group called MSE, Mad Skills Empire. And Sphinx was in a group with an Egyptian rapper called Ibs. They were together forming Mia Mia. During a show we did together, all three groups did a show together, plus other rappers were involved as well. Each one of us was the one who stuck out charisma-wise, skill-wise, appearance-wise, everything from his group. So somebody suggested that we should form a super group, and we actually did. But the idea was already there between me and Sphinx. It's just we didn't involve E-Money on it until later on. We was like, yo, dude's flow is sick, because I never heard nobody rap in Egyptian or in Arabic that fast before. And with these kind of structures, I was like, you know what, man, let's form a group together, and you know what, I should start rapping in Egyptian more often, because I was rapping in English back in the day. I said Sphinx can be the English link, I can just be fluctuating between English and Arabic depending on where I want to, you know, what project the track is going to be on and whatnot. So we ended up forming Arabian Knightz and created a big buzz online on MySpace, and from MySpace, you know, all the Arabs outside knew about us, and we started throwing some shows here in Cairo, local shows, and later on Alexandria and other cities, and the buzz here was going crazy. And that we want to express the Arabian mentality and the Arabian side of life, you know, and to the people, because since 9/11 a lot of people have been spreading negativity about us in the media, and no Arab has ever had the opportunity in the Western media to defend, you know, or to give the opposite, you know, point of view to the people. That's why we thought it was very important for us to be doing this in English and in Arabic, so we can be able to bridge the gap and really give the people what they really wanted and should have known about the Middle East. And, you know, we're trying. We're trying. Right now, a lot of the youth and teens in the Middle East and Egypt especially are using hip-hop, because now there's no limits or boundaries to if you can make it or not. And, you know, it just depends on your skill level, basically. It doesn't depend on record labels or anything anymore, because the internet is really fixing that. Everybody can be heard, and everybody can have even the minimum fan base only online, even if he's not on TV at all. YouTube is also revolutionizing the whole thing. Pop culture in Egypt and Arabia is growing a lot. I'm really surprised, because it grew. It started off in Arabia, in Palestine and Morocco and other areas, but it took a long time to catch up to Egypt. But once it did, it just spread like forest fire, man. It just went all over the place in no time. In 2 years, like, all the teenagers right now look up to hip-hop artists more than they look up to pop artists. Maybe the other age categories don't do the same, but at least the teenagers are the future. We know that. So we know that in the short-term future, hip-hop is going to become commercial as hell in the Middle East, and we're trying to keep it in its own essence, so that the media and the companies do not really mess with its message and its form. It can be commercially successful without having to water it down. So we need to make sure that we control the creativity of it as artists, not companies, not record labels. Right now we do have a distribution deal on the side from a very big network/record label in Egypt, and it's called Melody, and these guys are like the MTV of Arabia, basically. They're watched everywhere in the Middle East, all 22 countries, and they really push their artists a lot. I think this is going to be increased more after we release our album, and people can see that there are sales coming out of it, and there are good feedbacks coming out of it. People are going to notice that, and it's going to become more and more in the media. And a lot of commercials right now on TV as well for non-hip-hop related products use hip-hop in their commercials. A lot of sitcoms use a hip-hop character, even if it's for comedy reasons, but they still use it, you know. So it's becoming very relevant. It's everywhere I go right now, I can always see a teenager or a young cat, you know, with a fitted hat, 2 sizes big for his head. You can tell that visually people are starting to get more into it, even if they don't understand the essence or the true message of it yet. They still can relate to it, either fashion-wise, look-wise, attitude-wise. It's getting there. It's really increasing. It's really increasing a lot in the media right now and in the culture, a lot. Because hip hop is universal. It's an expression, and it's like a melting pot. You can put some Celtic music in there and it's still hip hop. You can put some Arabic music in there and it's still hip hop. You can put some instrument or any mentality or any idea or any thoughts of a culture in there and express yourself freely about it, and it's still hip hop. It's still hip. It's still you know, it's still dope music basically, and you can still make it dope in any language. So that's why it's really universal. Plus, it's the only form of music, like I said, that enables you to talk about anything you want. So that's why anybody on the planet right now is able to branch into it, because we all have messages. Everybody in every race has a story to tell, and hip hop is the book that enables you to write anything you want and say it and express it. In this movement, I'm hoping to accomplish a bunch of things, including, like I said, bridging the gap between our culture and the rest of the world, so that they can understand us more, and at the same time bridging the gap so that our people in Arabia would understand the other cultures more often as well, and understand really what needs to be understood from it. Like see their sides of the stories too, and know that, you know, you can't judge and generalize people according to what you hear or according to what certain politicians want you to think, because a lot of politicians want you to be isolated from the rest of the world so that they can control you easier. People hate what's different and what they don't understand, and once they start understanding it, the hate element is going to be eliminated totally between the cultures. The more open-minded you are and the more you unite with the rest of the world, the less power the politicians, whether they're good or bad, have on you. The less the chains you got on yourself and on your brain. So that's why we want to be involved in opening these locks and freeing people from their mental slavery all over the world, and tell them really what the world is about and how it's all one thing, it's all one, you know, people are all one at the end of the day. That's how we were created, and that's how the messages are all one at the end of the day. You know, they have the same nervous system and the same heart. They feel the same way about certain things. So it's, regardless where they come from, we're still the same. I want that to spread, and I want, you know, people to understand what's going on in the Middle East, and I want to do that for we want to do that for our people and our race, for the rest of the world. You know, to make them really see us for human beings as well. You know, a hero can come out of the Middle East, man. We have a lot of heroes in our history.
So I spit it harder, let them haters ponder how they gonna make it if they can't keep getting stronger. Conquer any genre, money getting longer, tall like Vince Law, my meditative mantra, karma. You want Arabic.